There you are. You're live.
Hey, we made it. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, we're going to be continuing with your new favorite interview series, Grace Under Pressure, where we will cajole, feature, interview royal consorts from around the known world, starting with some of our favorite duchesses. This week, we have Duchess Bridget, and
Hello.
next week, we will be interviewing Duchess Tiana of Artemisia. And now, let's meet our hosts.
All right. So as some of you know, if you've been watching us all along in our newly formed series, this is Sir Joel de Grace, or de Grasse if you want to be all French about it. And he started in the SCA 16 years ago in the now Kingdom of North Shield and is now in Calontir. And he was knighted in 2018, is that right? And his consort is his wife, the Lady Aniela, the Honorable Lady Aniela, who does not appear on screen with us, but is probably there corralling the dogs right now. And this week's fun fact about Joel is that one of his dogs is in a cone right now, which is not so fun for the dog, but apparently Joel's cell phone reception is so much better when he holds his dog in his lap. So, you know, that's fun.
Easiest way to boost signal, really. And as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Duchess Dagmar of Antir. Her first reign was as a princess of Sinagua, and she has since gone on to have two reigns in Antir with her husband, Duke Thorin Yalson, who I swear one of these weeks I'm going to be able to say his last name without it sounding awkward.
That's okay. Most people just call him your Grace. You don't need to worry about it.
That's probably the one I would go with too, so we're good there. Or like do my little like fangirl hi. This week's fun fact about her Grace is that she has two dash hounds that refuse to step outside when it's raining, which, considering she lives in the Pacific Northwest, can make things a real joy for her.
It's not fun. I think they'll disintegrate, or they think they'll disintegrate if they step foot outside in the rain. So hilarity ensues. So before we go on, let's extend a special thank you to Ashaxi and Rifkin for hosting Grace Under Pressure on the Sisters Interview Network. We appreciate everything that you've done to make this possible and to amplify the voices of these wonderful royal peers who contribute so much to the society and who also have such great insight to share with us. And Joel, it is upon you today to introduce our guest.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. We have a very special guest, Duchess Bridget Lucia McKenzie of Caid, who has reigned twice in Caid. She has been a landed baroness. She is a order of the Pelicans, and she is a fantastic artist and near and dear to my heart. She's also a fighter. And so we are really lucky today. We had a little bit of a meeting last night, just kind of get to chat a little bit, and I can already tell it's going to be a fun time. So Your Grace, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We're very excited about this.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Greetings. Hello.
And yes, I also want to make a special shout out to our own Antir's own whistle claimer, Garan Duke de Mamagoni, and she is the one who recommended that we talk with you, Bridget. And when Garan recommends something to me, I definitely do it. So it has proven to be a wonderful recommendation. It's been terrific getting to
Well,
you.
Mistress G Caid came out ahead when she moved from Antir to Caid. We love her dearly. She is just delightful.
She's wonderful. Thank you. So let's just dive right in because we have so much to talk about with you. I'd love to hear a little bit about your SCA origins and what brought you to the SCA in the first place.
Well, after a couple of decades of going to science fiction conventions and fantasy costumes and wearing spacesuits, friends said, hey, you know, want to come do this sword thing and knights and stuff? And I went, sure, why not? And I went, and that was 23 years ago. And so I started, one of the things I did when I started was running our youth combat. Our Sir Kuma started the youth combat way back when in Caid, and I helped him and did that for 5 years. I was our youth combat person. And then they made me a pelican, yay. And so happy to be got elevated and then became a landed baroness for a couple years at one of our baronies, Altavia. And then had fun fighting. I've been fighting since 1999 and got my I got my oleander from Estrella War. It's very battle weary. And then my buddy in my war band said, hey, I want to fight in Crown. And I said, sure. He's not going to do it. He did it and made me queen, and bless his heart. And so we reigned once and then twice. So queen, princess, queen, duchess, no, countess, princess, queen, duchess. So I have them all in order. So here I am.
Wonderful. And your persona?
Persona is a Romano Brit, the magic of the Celts, and then the precision and the discipline of the Romans together. It just spoke to me, and I just love that. And my war band, my Corvus war band, is Romano Brit, and that's where I live. Bridget is a fiber artist. She spins, she weaves, she brews until her king says, let's go to battle, and then puts on armor and goes and kills her.
If I remember from one of the many arts and sciences presentations I've been to, you also can wear makeup. We have extant evidence of cosmetics from that era. So,
yes,
I know.
Very beautiful, including the woad painting.
Yeah, well, but also
makeup.
Roman culture brought their cosmetics as well, and it has been fun. I know, that's very exciting. And somewhere out there, there's probably somebody who specializes in this type of thing. He's going, in there, that's not exactly right. It was just some whatever zinc stuff, and we don't know what it was. And fine, run your own podcast.
Right, and inspire art. Go figure it out, people. Yes, right. Tell us. Come back and tell us. And hair, the Romans did amazing things with hair piled up. Oh, love it.
You think they could have done something for me?
No, you're perfect just as you are, Sir Joel.
Right.
You know what, Joel? I like to tell people that I can give anyone an updo. And I mean anyone. It's just a matter of where you want it on your body. So
challenge.
I'll talk to your wife about that. Anyway,
sure.
let's move on. All right.
So, Your Grace, one of the first questions that I usually like to ask, and to just kind of really dive right into this, is now that you've had this wealth of experience come up from 2 reigns, what would current you go back and tell pre-first reign you? Or basically, what advice would you give to someone that hasn't had a chance to reign yet, and may have a friend in their warband that goes, hey, I want to fight in Crown? Yeah. What would be the first piece of advice you would give to them for that, now you've had the experiences?
Definitely go back and read whatever manuals exist about how to be crowned. Read the rule of law of your kingdom. Know what the laws are, what you can and cannot do, and the recommendations of do this, don't do that, to be prepared, and talk to folks who have done it before, because regardless of what you think happens, there's so much more good and so much more work that is a whole lot of fun, but can be a lot of work. And a person is almost never truly prepared. You can try to prepare and consider every time you go to crown, whether as a fighter or as a consort, prepare in your head to win. And have everything in place. Did I bring my shield? Did I bring the tokens? Did I bring this and that? And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But the worst thing is to get caught and not be prepared. I have always been in my head prepared. Like, I'm going to do this right. If I'm going to do a job, I'm going to be prepared for it. And thank goodness I was.
I appreciate your saying, and guests have said the same thing, that when you reign, it is hard work. It's welcome work.
Hey, Dagmar, your audio is kind of cutting out.
Yeah.
Your audio is cutting out pretty bad.
Okay. You know what? I wasn't saying something important.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. It sounded like it was important. I wanted to make sure that it was heard.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. If I cut out again, let me know, and I'll just, be less talkative. So the thing that we hear a lot from other royal peers is that reigning is a lot. But we are always hesitant to talk about it in the sense of, oh, it's so much work that I got to do. One of the very few people that ever gets to do it. I got to do this work. It is hard, but I appreciate that living alongside of, but this was a huge privilege. And so it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a lot of work. but it's also one of the most joyous and welcome hard work, a lot of us have ever done.
That is absolutely true, because it is a lot of your life. Your life is consumed by it. And whether a person obviously has family and job requirements and other commitments that they normally would make, and your friends are calling and saying, why aren't you coming down? Because you were good. I said, I can't, because I got to be here. So the commitment part of it is really difficult, can be difficult. We all know that there are people of relationships, of friendships and couples have been rust asunder because of the pressures of this job that we have taken on. But the hard work for me was dazzlingly fun. I just needed to make sure I was physically prepared for it. Come on, can I do it? But I loved helping arrange all the presentation gifts and the garb and what we're going to do and the scheduling. I loved it. It was really hard, but I loved it. So be prepared for a lot of hard work, and the rewards are enormous.
Looking back on the experiences that you had, is there a regret or like a something that you would do over again?
Oh, that's hard.
I know.
When I talk to people, and of course, when we're just people and we talk, it's one thing, but suddenly when you put the giant jewel encrusted gold and silver crown upon your head, there's a lot of expectations that are put on there. So it's not just my voice, it is the echoing voice of the Queen. And so everything I say, and this is true for those of us in the peerage, everything I say has great weight and power and loudness. So where we might have just said something softly before, now it is coming out booming. And so, does that dress fit? It now says, you are ugly. So we need to make sure that the words that we say are kind and good and encouraging, because we can destroy someone. We can ruin someone's SCA by a word. And so that burden is very real. And we have to absolutely take it seriously. We can't make a little offhand joke or slip and say something rude while sitting on the throne of our kingdom. Oh my heavens, that's very important for people to understand.
That's good. I mean, you're not speaking to a specific experience, but I think everyone who has experienced something similar to you they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes,
so.
Exactly.
And we also would love to hear a little bit about sort of that inner kingdom anthropology that we like, because I'm sitting here in Ontario. Joel's lived in several kingdoms and is currently in Calontir. And so it's great for us to hear a little bit from each of our guests about those things that might be a little different. So I'd love to hear a bit about what a typical reign in Qaid is like and how they're structured and staffed. What do you call is it a retinue? Is it a court? Is it are they retainers? And how would your past retinue describe working for you?
Oh, good. Oh, that final one's a good question. Can I share some pictures with you?
Yes, please.
So here are some pictures, and this is me as Baroness. Can you guys see that okay? Oh, cute little Baroness 20 years ago. Lottie Dawes, wonderful. I had a blast with that. But here, speaking of Interkingdom, this is at Pensick a couple years ago with now Sir Adrian. And Adrian moved from Qaid, and we lost her, and she moved to the Outlands. And so at Pensick, and I know at other foreign wars, we go and get to experience our visiting with our cousins, other royalty, and that is fantastically wonderful. And when we do, we are kind of a walking advertisement for our own kingdom, so that when we would go to other kingdoms, we'd say, hey, it's nice to see everybody. We hope you might come in October to Great Western War to basically advertise, come take your vacation in Southern California. And I realized that as I was trying to tell people how wonderful Qaid is, come take your vacation there. And another piece of, in our regalia, in the king's crown, it says, and I don't know if you can see really close up here, it says, you rule because they believe. And that is a beautiful reality check to remind the sovereign, this is what this is what it's all about. Don't be a dummy. Don't ruin anyone's SCA game. Inside the Queen's crown, it says, for honor, love, and beauty. And let me say the consort, the royal consort's crown. Being a boomer, I'll get all the pronouns wrong. Please know I'm trying. It's consort, and I might say queen or princess, and it's sovereign, and I might say king. So forgive me. I'll just know that I'm trying. This is Gulf Wars, and one of the amazing things at Gulf Wars was being able to ride in that amazing procession. And this lovely lady loaned me her beautiful horse, Sister, and let me ride. I had taken practice lessons beforehand because I am not a rider. And to be able to ride in that amazing procession was absolutely beautiful. Another wonderful piece is I was able to elevate one of our pelicans, and we didn't have the sword of state. Usually in Caid, we rest our hands on the sword and swear fealty during a peerage elevation. The sword wasn't there. And you know, that moment of panic when you're in court and you're smiling, you're like, oh, something's going wrong. And I took off the crown of Caid, and I said, because it says in our fealty ceremony, here do I swear by mouth and hand on the crown and king for the crown. So I swear on the crown. So I offered him the crown to put his hands on, and he burst into tears and continued to recite the oath ceremony. But that was really important. And I know the oath ceremony is very important to all of us, and it has great meaning, but this was a beautiful piece that I love very much.
I love this photo.
This is me just being noisy. I was calling all of the fighters at Petraea War to come and stand with me. We took a beautiful picture with the armored and rapier fighters, lady fighters at our San Diego War to come and be. So that was fun. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. So that's a little bit of interkingdom archaeology. Another piece of the interkingdom archaeology, when we went to Gulf Wars, I have a big, beautiful Ford Transit van, the new van for SCA campers, I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
And we loaded all of everybody else's gear, and I drove it cross country, and I stayed with SCA people all the way. We made arrangements ahead of time. Hey, can this visiting queen come drop in and stay with you? And so we saved a lot of money by having me just stay in people's houses in various places. So that, and then I forged friendships with those people, and I still check in on them. That's very, very nice. Very nice.
You know, that's a great segue into the question.
Yes. Yes.
I'm from a kingdom that camps. Joel's from kingdoms that camp. Caid does not have this robust camping culture, and we're super intrigued by that.
Right. It's hard to find good campgrounds that are not astronomically priced in Southern California. We have several wars, Great Western in October. We have a San Diego war and a couple other little events that might be camping, but it's hard to get. This is prime vacation spot. Getting a campsite for the weekend is astronomical. So most of our daytime tourneys, well, they're daytime tourneys. Most of our baronial anniversary events, crown tourney, are outside in a park, and we pay a ton of money to get a park for a day. And then we'll rent Masonic halls or churches or other venues for coronations and in other indoor events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really different. I think what's intriguing also is, you know, the royal encampment is such a big part of the culture here, and sort of the idea that when you have retinue or retainers or court members that you camp together, and the type of time you spend together is not just during court, right? There's a lot of other things that go into it. And I wonder, it makes me curious if you have less burnout among people that are recurring retinue. I mean, you've been on a lot of retinues yourself. So does it change the way service happens? Does it, you know, do you find that people have more energy to serve on repeat retinues, or?
I find that sometimes people will be serving on, we call it being on court or on retinue, and they'll still camp with their household because they have, you know, co-use of gear and they know how they camp. And so sometimes the royal encampment isn't really big. And sometimes it's the household of the crown.
Yeah.
We just say Corvus Warband is now the royal encampment. So there we go. And so that changes. And then if we have folks who normally camp with their household and they might want to camp with royal, then we let them come on in and camp with the royal. But we try to not burn people out. We'll say, hey, you worked on the last 3. We love you. Take a break. Go home and be baronial for a while. And just balance is very important. Burnout. I mean, there's a whole chapter, right, in the book of law on burnout. So you want to avoid that.
Actually, I have a question while we're talking about kingdom specific stuff. You've mentioned war bands a few times now, and we may have viewers that are not familiar with your kingdom's culture centered around war bands, because a lot of kingdoms are still very much like we do things as a shire, or we do it as a barony, or we do it as a household. Can you explain what the basic concept behind the war bands are for those that may not be familiar with that part of your culture?
Sure. Our specifically our warband, and actually the way all the warbands work is the army of Caid is fed by the warbands. They gather together fighters, and then when the king says we go fight it, whatever wars, then we gather together. There's Corvus and Drafen and Duntir and whatever warbands there are. They camp as a warband. They have support group, they have family and kids and kitchens and such, but their primary duty is to be fighters and to fight for the crown. Different, kind of the same as a household, but their focus is fighting. And that could be a rapier household. It could be an armored combat household, archery households.
All right. So you were recognized as a pelican in 2005?
Yeah. Oh, I see pictures of cute kids with swords hitting each other. They're adorable. Go ahead with your question.
So you were largely recognized for your work in getting youth combat up and running. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
So go ahead and tell us what it was like getting that program kind of going, and what challenges were you had to face to get it going and operational. And also, yes, I want to see you kids.
Being that being that California is a litigious state, we had to be really, 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 really careful about letting kids hit each other in a okay atmosphere. This is 98, 99, when we first started it. I say we because it was Kuma, Sir Kuma, who pushed it, and I was right there with him. We worked with Dame Ellis of the West, and she was Kingdom's Society Seneschal at the time. We had a set of rules we got from Duke Deacon in Aytenveld and modified for use in Caid, and took the rules to Ellis, and she and I talked, and how would this work? Would that work? How do we do it? And she said, okay, that sounds good to me. And we got society approval and obviously our kingdom approval. And we had a training program where we'd train the youth combat marshals and tell them how to do it. We'd have them trained, and they weren't under the marshalate. They were under youth programs at the time, 20 years ago. And then I went to every darn tourney for a couple years, to train other people and to teach people how to make the equipment and, the sword, the youth combat, the foam swords, and buying hockey helmets. I bought a lot of hockey helmets and training others to move along. And then there were others after me who did it.
That's great. So while you were getting that up, while you were getting that up and running, you also served as a baroness around that same time frame,
Yes.
didn't you? Or
Yes.
that was it. So you definitely are a pelican. So and on top of all of that, you do heavy combat.
Yeah, you bet. You want to see Bridget fighting? Where's Bridget fighting?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Go ahead.
So one thing I was curious about is that you have all these experiences working with getting a kingdom program up and running, with being a fighter, which involves fighting and being in that cohesion at the kingdom level.
Right.
And being a baroness, and that shiny hat bringing That one. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, I'm not allowed to say
in the
it.
shiny hat jar.
What did you say? Shiny hat? Oh man.
Yeah, he has to put a quarter in the quarter jar when he says shiny hat. We're not seeing a screen share, by the way.
There we go.
Yeah.
I have skills. I can do it. There we go. Is that working?
There you go.
Oh, there we are. That's me. Sorry. In my fantasy, it was working great. So there I am, my leather armor. Corvus, yay. And that's the back. It's just showing what the back of the armor looks like. I've been fighting in the same darn armor for two decades. I'm not a good fighter, but I'm enthusiastic. And the reason I started fighting, because this is not a sports body. I did badminton in high school. I'm not a sports girl. But Kuma said, you should put on armor and you should fight, because then people will believe in you. People will trust you. And I thought, whoa, okay, they'll have respect for you. And I did. Made the armor, had friends help me with the metal parts. And it was really scary because I'm not used to being hit with things. But I overcame that. I read the Iron Rose and no, it's not that. It's the Iron Rose, right? And learn from whoever I could to try to get better at fighting. Mostly I'm really enthusiastic and I just charge really hard. So,
and one of the things that I always tell any fighter of any skill level is I just want to see them out there. Yeah. And if they're having fun, they're doing it right. That's what matters.
Right.
Is that if they're having a good time. While you're showing the pictures, could we go and see the kids' combat pictures?
Oh,
actually,
yes, I got that. Please stand by. Your call is important to me. Wait. Let me go back to kids' activities. Where'd it go? Where is it? Did I lose you? Where is it go? Where's my sharing scales? I can do this. I have the technology. Somehow
you're being called the warrior queen in the comments.
Aw, my peeps. Okay, where's the youth combat-y stuff? Did I kill it? I did. Please stand by. Your call is important to me. There we go. No, that's not us.
That's cool though. That one was cool. Talk amongst
yourself. Let me do this really quick. I had it all ready. I was so ready, you guys. Stand by.
We're gonna gawk at your spinning wheels while you're doing that.
Oh yes.
Trying to count them.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
4.
They cut a couple great wheels. And
look at that.
This is my baby. She's been my girl for 40 wwhatever years. Yay.
Oh, wow.
All right. So this is me playing with a little kid, little Rosie Blackcroon, who is all grown up now, just so you know. And she puts on the helmet, and we let the little kids do it. And teach them to bow to their parents instead of a consort. They don't have a consort, but we do all the ritual for them. We talk to them like they're grown-ups. They're on their honor, and they need to fall down. If they got killed, they fall down. And it's just absolutely adorable to empower them that way. Here, oh, that's me. And then a bunch of kids. We had a tournament and a bunch of kids there. And this is 20 years ago. And this is a little more recently. It's maybe 5 years ago. And kids are still doing it and coming out and fighting. Hockey helmets.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Back to you.
That makes me so happy. I one of the first events that I ever went to, they had youth combat going on, and I didn't realize what I was signing up for when I said I would go out there and let them like beat me up a little bit. And there is nothing that makes you want to have better defense than having a little horde of children attack you with boffers. So that was a very good learning lesson for me.
And here's another thought for those of us who think about recruitment in the SCA. If the kid wants to go do more sword fighting, mommy, daddy, I want to go, and they're doing this thing in the park. And so if you have youth combat and the kids want to come play, you'll get the whole family. You're thinking of recruitment. If the kid wants to come every Thursday night over to the park and put on a hockey helmet and hit some other kid with a foam sword, you'll have the whole family there and hook them all in. So recruitment, baby.
And on that note, everyone make sure your membership is renewed. The SCA needs your love.
Yep.
I'm going to plug that every episode until I feel like things are back up and running. I'm just making sure that's
Okay.
Yes.
so. One of the things that I like usually to ask also is that during your reigns and just in your experience as a peer and as a baroness and as just an active player in the SCA, I'm sure you've attended multiple vigils, or you have been able to poke into tents or at Gulf Wars, where you just saw, hey, there's a vigil going on, let's go say hi. What is your kind of like core piece of advice that you would give to a someone that's about to be recognized as a peer during their vigil?
In short terms, be a shiny knight. I remember watching all the knights in armor stories, reading the Tolkien and the Arthur, and thinking about people being chivalrous and honorable in their armor and fighting. And I always looked up to all of them. And so whether it was a knight or a pelican or laurel or master of defense, be shiny, be not just obvious, but put a little more polish on your medallion, on your belt, so that when people look at you, they don't go, bad Santa. No, be what they want you to be. Portray your role. You are now a role, a peer of the realm. Be that. And if it takes a little gumption to work it up when you drive up to the place and go, I am a pelican, I am a rose, I need to be that. Okay, I got it. Sparkle, put on your smile. So my advice in a vigil is be shiny, be a shiny peer.
I really like that.
And it actually makes me think about your other passion, which is newcomers.
Oh, outreach to newcomers. Oh my heavens, yes. I was a chatelaine for a while, and what I would usually do is say, hey, do you want to see the king or queen or baron or baroness? And the little kids would say, now this is general public. Oh yes, I do. And I would walk them over to the reigning king, queen, baron, baroness, and introduce them. And then suddenly it turns into a Disney princess meet and greet, which is a little weird for us, but the general public, that's how they relate to it. You're now going to meet the medieval times king. Okay. And so when I suddenly got big, beautiful crowns on my head, I had to do that too. and it's a little strange, but it's okay. You learn how to do it. Where's my little girl? I have a cute little picture of this little kid. She's adorable. So here is Princess. Here is sitting with the kids. I think kid involvement is absolutely, like I said, absolutely critical. But here is we're in a park, and it's an event, and there's stuff going on. There's a line of people who want to meet me and talk to me. And I see a general public family off in the corner, and this little girl is looking right at me. And I ask all my people around me, say, hang on a second. And I say, come forward. What's your name? I'm Evelyn. I say, well, you are Princess Evelyn, aren't you? Yes. And I say, now, Princess Evelyn, a princess needs to have jewelry. Would you like to pick one? And I always go loaded up with jewelry. And here I have a little bag of jewelry for her. And I had her take this little bag of jewelry because she needs to have it. And I said, how about a picture? And I turned her around, and her mom is beaming, and her dad, you can see right there in the corner, is so happy they met the queen. But that moment, she's going to remember. She's going to have that picture. And if that's our point of outreach, great. And if she never comes back to the SCA again, that's okay. I've turned it positive instead of negative. So yay. Oops. Let me do this again. Sorry. I keep messing up my chat. I apologize. Yes.
So that's amazing. And that genuinely just warmed my heart, because I think everybody remembers their first like exposure to, I tend to kind of flippantly call it the nerdy society or the nerdy realm. But they always remember that. And that's a moment that youngin right there is going to remember.
Right.
And maybe her family moved on, and now she, is in, Trimaris getting ready to win her first crown. You never know how that, but the ripples spread out from there.
Exactly. So we have a family in in Kaid who takes in foster kids, and they're from very distressed situations and families. And they foster them for a while, and then then there's a forever home and they go away. And this family is very involved in the SCA, and they bring the kids in, they have them in garb, and they have them participate. And they're just so terribly into it. And then when they got their new family, in the communication, they said, well, this little guy, this little Maximilian, he really is into the SCA. Can you guys maybe find the SCA? And they did. He went across country. The family that he got adopted into found the SCA, and we made communications with that SCA group. So they welcomed him, and the king welcomed him, and made that connection to give him a little identity. And it was absolutely fantastic. You mentioned that was about general public communication. Newcomers is also near and dear to my heart, as you mentioned. When we're speaking and in court, or now we're online during the Great Plague, we want to make sure that we say all the words. And my pet peeve is arts and sciences, because when you shorten arts and sciences into anus, wait, what did I just say?
ANS.
Yeah, ANS. And if it comes too fast, not only what did she just say? And oh my gosh, did you just say something? Please say all the words. You can type them shorthand, say them all out. And in talking to people, frame it up instead of, the event that we go to in October, say it all. It's Great Western War. It's in October. It's in Bakersfield. Say all the words so that we don't sound like we're cliquey. Raise hands. How many of us here grew up as the nerdy kids, right? We weren't the cool kids.
Nice.
Now with the medallions and the belts and the crowns, coronets, we're the cool kids, right? So how does that happen? We need to not be mean to the not cool kids. We need to outreach even more to them. Reach, don't pull up the ladder after you got on the boat. Leave it out and help somebody on board too. So reach out to the newcomers. All the words that sound so confusing, make it simple, and don't sound like they're trying to break into a club that they won't let you in. Let them in, please. Because without them, like you said, we will die.
And you also use your arts.
Yes.
To engage people in the SCA.
I love demos. I saw the Disney movie Sleeping Beauty when I was a small child, and Maleficent scarred me for life, terrified.
In a good way, right?
Her. And now in a good way, I researched as a little kid, what about those spinning wheels? How would you make a spinning wheel a weapon? And I taught myself how to spin when I was 11 years old. My parents bought me my beautiful Ashford when I was 13. She's my workhorse. She's a great little spinning wheel. And I love doing school demos. That for me is a huge part of the SCA. School demos, museums, just gatherings of people. We went to a car show once, and I put out my rug and had my wheel, and everybody was really excited. I used to go to a lot of Civil War reenactments. I'm not sure if the world wants to do those anymore, but this is what the time period of that wheel is from. This is from this 150-year-old great walking wheel. And it really works, and it works really well. And explaining to people not only the Sleeping Beauty story and how it works, there's the spindle that she pricks her finger on. I have a couple of furs and show them, look, we used to wear furs. Now we wear, I tell them the whole story, and it helps how it works click together with them. I'm also a tablet weaver. And here's my setup at another one of our demo events with a bunch of my looms and woven bits. And I sat there and spun and wove. It was wonderful. This was a spin in public day, and it's a mundane spinning event, but I have a basket full of spinning spindles, 30? And I got a crew of us together at an event last year and gave everybody a spindle and gave them rudimentary, this is how you spin. All the spinners teach the not spinners how to spin. And we had this fun picture of everybody spinning in public, and we're all laughing and spinning. This is just one of my bands, Kite and Cross, charted out in spinning. Anything else? Oh yeah, there's me. So I spun a belt for a friend of my friend Kuma, and out of beautiful white wool that I spun and I wove. It's awful fun. It's awful fun. Super fun.
If you feel like making another one of those, I'm
Oh, yeah. You know, I make those. I make a chain belt too. That's pretty cool. Oh, I already gave it to him. I had it. I had another belt. Wait.
We already.
This is another belt that I've made. Crescents. That's for somebody who's, it's his secret. Don't tell him.
Okay.
Hey, he doesn't know he's getting it yet.
You know, I look at you working at wool though, and one of the questions that came in from Garan was, how do you handle the heat in Caid? Especially, I'm looking at some of the regalia and the clothes, and they're amazing. But it is a really good question. We have rain here. We wear a lot of wool,
Yeah.
and our summers can be hot, but the nights are fairly cool, you know. So I know that dictates some of what people become interested in. And, you know, how do you handle even touching wool when it's 90 degrees? I didn't know that I could. I can't even touch my dogs.
Well, right. Western Europe, 1,000 years ago, was in a mini ice age, right? Everybody had to wear wool because it's about higher than Southern California on the equator. It's always cold there. They had to wear it. So we often pick our garb based on the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of summer, everybody's roaming. Yay! And we have an event that we do up in the mountains, which thankfully the brush fires did not get at a beautiful camp, and it's in January, and sometimes it's snowing, which for us, it's snowing. Any water from the sky just freaks us all out, Southern California. And we actually have wonderful pictures where we can go and we're in snow and it's cold. We're all excited. So a lot of times what we wear to an event is based on the temperature. And this outfit here, this amazing Venetian that's all silk with this beautiful embroidery that Morgana made for me. At this event, I had a giant market umbrella on a big pole, and I asked my guards who were going to be with me that day, I said, okay, when I leave the Royal Pavilion, I know me, if I get in the sun, I will burst into flame. There'll be, rivulets.
And the same way about churches. So.
Yes, exactly. And so when I said, whoever's going to be with me, you got to carry this. And one guy was like, I'm on it. He like braced it on a hip, and he just made sure that big old market umbrella stayed above me. And it was, bless his heart. Bless his heart. And then times we have fans when we have beautiful garb. So that's what we do.
I think that's really smart. Of course, here it's the land of like Viking era, era clothing. But we have our linen versions. We have, a lot of people will relocate here and realize like it can be in Ontario. Ontario is really big too. So it includes, places like, northern British Columbia, which is quite cold, and eastern Washington, which the summers can be much more like where you are. So, but I can recall being queen and it being warm enough that the crown on my head was kind of getting to be a problem. And I had these little ice packs that sometimes I would sneak into my bra or other unmentionables. I would do all kinds of things to try and maintain a regal mien. So, and one coronation, my first coronation, I wasn't so smart about that. And we were having unseasonably hot weather for our area. And my, in fact, outfit was entirely wool. Everything was wool. And then they put the royal cloaks on me for the coronation. And I just remember sitting there and I went, like I just made this noise. Like, it was so intense. But yeah, that's the one thing, like, we don't talk about that. They don't put that in the handbook. Like,
that's not a good thing. What my dear friend Genevieve from our Western Seas, because Caid consists of not just Southern California, but we also have Las Vegas and Hawaii. Yay! She came out and came to our Great Western War, which is October, which can be chilly. Amazing. And here chilly is 65. But from Hawaii, she was in a linen shift and she was freezing and she was going to try to camp. When I found out, I went back to my camp and got all my wool blankets, and we gave her socks, and we, poor little Hawaiian girl was freezing, but we tried to take care of her. Yeah,
so actually, and that's a great point also about rose culture.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Kaid's rose culture and what kind of service activities they're involved in and that sort of thing.
Yes, indeed. Well, as you know, Kaid does not have principalities, so we don't have many viscountesses or viscounts. We have a few from when Kaid, 40 years ago, when Kaid was a principality of the West, and we have a few who have moved in. So I know other kingdoms have a lot of viscountesses, and they have kind of a different tiered structure from the duchesses and countesses. So there's different, but we have mostly countesses and duchesses. So our roses, we consider all of them roses. In fact, during my reign, we changed Kaid law to say, while in Kaid, any royal consort is a rose. And sort of the reason for that was viscountesses weren't really considered roses. And we love our viscountesses. We have Larissa and Arabella and Villia and so we love them. And so we wanted them to be roses. Also at Great Western War, we have the Valkyrie Rose Tourney, where each Lord or Lady of the Rose can sponsor 4 fighters, armored, belted, armored, unbelted, master defense, and rapier, not defender. And it's a big old tourney, and it actually matters more to be the most chivalric than it does to be the winner. And we wanted any royal consort who came in to visit to be able to participate. While in Kaid lands, you don't have to live here. While you're here during our war, you get to participate and sponsor fighters. So, and we gather as roses to continue the for honor, love, and beauty credo of our royal consorts. This is a princess tea. So every reign we hold a princess tea for the new princess or prince. Sorry, again, I'll get my pronouns wrong. And it's semi-private. We make sure people don't wander in, and we basically say, okay, when the king does this, do that, or don't do this. It's a no crap. There I was, and then tell story, and then have lesson. And we treat it like a tea and have biscuits and crumpets, and it's a lot of fun. And then as roses, there's a number of ceremony pieces where our roses do take part in presenting the new princess with a set of roses at crown tourney, at coronation, and this is immediately after our stepping down. And this is the amazing dress that, oh, good heaven, Mistress Adelheid and her team, Countess Steina and a number of others participated in to make this amazing Elizabethan dress for me. And it was, it was 95 in the sanctuary during that day. So my fan was going really fast, but they made me feel like such a queen. It was absolutely beautiful. But we gathered together for a picture of us being queens. Also, we make crowns of roses and rosemary for the princess at crown tourney. Will get a rose wreath, and the fighter crown prince will get a rosemary wreath, and they wear those for the half hour, 45 minutes before they get the little metal prince and princess crowns. And that is a thing that we come together and do and participate in. Also, we validate. We don't judge art, we validate it. We are not laurels. Well, some of them are laurels, but we validate the art. It gives them an extra life in some particular tourneys. So if the fighter, this is to make more well-rounded fighters, right? If the fighter brings an art that they have made, then we look at it and coo over it and, oh, how did you do that? And validate them. They get a little sticker, they get an extra life. And that is one of the many things that we do. So
that's
I really like that.
Yeah, cool. I like the idea though that it's like you actually have a ticket that you print and you're like chunk that.
Yeah.
like maybe their fighter card could have an area on the back that has like validation stamps.
Yeah,
And
see?
when you get 20 of them, it, you know, gets you like a free
Something.
latte or something.
Oh, I think just like a
Exactly.
golden sticker that goes on the helmet personally.
There you
So
go.
make it,
There you go. I love it. What a great
you know,
idea.
make it like the nose art on like fighter planes from World War II kind of thing where they had that.
Yes.
Like that's what I want. So
Exactly.
I don't
Awesome.
want to do that with my art though.
Now we all remember the old Three Musketeers, the 70s one. That was my Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
And when the Queen puts her hand down to be kissed by D'Artagnan, and she happens to let slip a ring from her hand, and he's, oh, I have a ring for the Queen. That strikes me like a thunderbolt. And the power of a royal taking a bit of jewelry off their body and giving it to you. That's cool, man. What a great gameplay that is. So I would go load it up and offer tokens, and we still do that. A lot of people do that, not just roses, but I want to give you this. My baronial crown, this is my duchy crown, but my baronial crown has roses, pearls in it on little stick pins. So I can say, you really made my day. I want to pin this on you. You've done a beautiful job. And had people just be gobsmacked and start to cry.
I did something similar. I would stuff my bra with socks and then just give people socks.
Socks?
Yeah, it really sent a special message of my esteem to get a sweaty old single sock out of my bra.
Okay.
And it was a great way to get rid of socks that got mismatched after dryer accidents. So, you know, win-win for everyone involved.
Sure.
Hey, Joel, do you have another question you'd like to ask?
Yeah. Well, actually, I just want to say in Artemisia, they give when you get your AOA, they actually give you a knife. Like
a knife?
Like they actually give AOA recipients a knife because they're now allowed to carry steel in the presence of their majesty by being, so yeah, they actually give them a knife.
That's cool.
It's forged by one of our local artisans.
That's cool.
So with your passions and with everything that you've done, you obviously you love your populace. You love the people that have given you this opportunity. One of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes people will almost daydream about what they could have done. What is a award that if you had a magic wand that you could create, like with no politics or any of that, you could create any award for either local, kingdom, or society level, what would that award be?
We did. We created a new award. We have fantastic combat archers, and they're not target archers necessarily, because sometimes people do target and not combat. But the combat archers, there's no place in them in our awards tree. You know, there's a first level our armored combat fighter and a second level, and then the third level is the knight. But there's no, you know, you can give them a second level, but it doesn't mean combat archery. So we created an award, and it got approved and went through, and people got it for combat archery. And it's really cool. And it's not target, because that's a whole different thing. So we did it. We did it.
That's awesome. Even though I personally don't like combat archers, it's period.
Yeah. I won't seek you out at the next war. Don't worry.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm usually pretty easy to find. But no, that's great. And it's interesting to hear people's different responses to that, because some are focused on what they've actually been able to do. Some of them are looking towards a bigger, like they want to change one thing in the society. But it's great that you've actually saw that gap in recognition for people, and you were able to address it.
It kind of took two brains to do it, but yeah, it did.
Good things take time, right?
Yes.
So when you came into the SCA, and I say this pretty much every week, but everybody remembers that first person that they met when they saw them that first time, and they go, yeah, that's who I want to be when I grow up in the SCA. Who was your first mentor, I guess you could say, that you met and you're like, this is who the SCA should be?
The darling Countess Albra Catherine. She's a Laurel and Pelican Royal Peer, and I served as her retainer for a year. I didn't need to go to newcomers meetings because I just hung out with her and I learned everything I needed to know. One thing she taught me that was so amazing, and here's a little secret on the royalty stuff, you guys. I'm giving you a little secret. When you, as a royal, whatever baronage or of crown, are on your throne, and someone is upon the whole barony is beyond on their knees before you, giving you a present. Take the present basket or whatever it is. Don't throw it over your shoulder to the retinue behind you. They've worked hard at it. They've spent money and their time. Stop. Look at it. Look at this basket or pouch full of items, and look at something handmade. Pull it out and coo over it, and try to catch the eye of maybe the person who made it, and then hold on to it and hold on to the basket while that whole group gets up and bows and turns and walks away, because the last thing that whoever made it wants to see is you pitching it over your shoulder. Now, some of us are very process oriented. I am. Okay, what am I supposed to do next? I'm supposed to give this off because we have something else happening on the court. No, the most important thing are the people in front of me. I need to focus on them and properly thank them. Now, that little item, I put it on and I wear it, or I keep it on the table beside me. I have it and fondle it through court so that they know how much that means to me. Yes, there's going to be a thank you letter, and I know I'll see them later, but right then, hang on to it. So there you go. There's your tip. That came from Albrecht. She's just a delight. I love her dearly.
I love that. And so who was the knight that you had mentioned that you were working with on the
right, Mikhail of the Kuma, Sir Kuma, on youth combat. Yes, and we got to knight him too. That was fantastic. He happened to be coming up in the Knights Council at that time, and they all voted, and we got to knight him. So that was really cool to be able to knight my dear friend.
That's great.
Oh yeah, I'm fascinated by the question of awards, because in our 2 reigns as crown, and in my very in Saga, we got to are you not able to hear me?
Barely able.
I don't know what changed.
There you go. That's good. Lean in.
I'm just closer to the microphone.
There you go.
We got to create an award in Snogla that we called Den Klima, which is Danish for the ugly duckling. The Snogla is the swan principality, and it was for people that were not from Snogla, were people that were active and participated in the principality in ways that really greatly contributed. And I loved our symbol was a little silver crown egg when I first created it, that my partner Obadiah made with his own hands at the time. And I don't know if they still give it out, but I think for us, like just the joy of like going, hey, there's a lot of people that like to play in Snogla who aren't Snoglans. We should like make sure they know they're special. And it is really an unparalleled, it's an unparalleled opportunity to, say, this is what matters to me. And it's one of the very best things about reigning is designing awards or giving awards that, that person is going to carry that through their entire SCA time, right? Their entire SCA life. So it's really special, which reminds me, what keeps you in the SCA? Like a lot of people after they reign, they really are tired or they're worn out or the politics got them down. But what inspires you to keep going?
Oh my heavens. The fact that I have to, first wearing fun costumes it's all about costumes for me, and art, doing my art. But I feel a tremendous responsibility to give back to the society. And it sounds so corny, but it's real because of all that folks did for me during the reigns and all the work with the youth combat and all, to thank the society in general and thereby them for all that they've done. I want to keep it running right. I'm very active in my barony, Gildenholt, Orange Woods, Orange County, Orange, California, and checking on the newcomers. And I'm the arts officer. arts and sciences. I'm the arts and sciences officer, and we're actually very active on Zoom. We can't see each other in person, but by jinkies, you know how fun it is? I don't get to put on garb except on Zoom calls. It's like, I get to put on garb. That's cool. Check my background. Is everything fun? That keeps me coming back. And I showed you my oleander that I got for women who fight in Australia War. Well, I got 2 more because I was a fighting queen, and I'll try to keep fighting as long as this old body can, strap on armor and go out there. I might not be effective, but at least I'll confuse the enemy. What is she doing? My God, my warband will knock him out. That keeps me coming back because I want more people to participate and to thank everybody.
What is the thing that you think you miss the most?
People, faces, hugging, talking in person. Solitary confinement is truly a horrific punishment in the real world. And it's been proven that by looking at people, like I'm looking at you guys and folks are looking at us, and I see you and I say something and you acknowledge that I've said something, that gives me a little plus in my brain and helps keep me from mental destability. So for me, in this time of pandemic, in our plague, when I have to stay in my castle, being able to see people through my SCA Zooms is very important to me emotionally to keep my mental stability. Am I okay? Is everything fine still? I'm not crazy yet. That's super important. I also miss putting on garb, going to events. Our war would be next weekend. We're all crying. Our big war.
I was coming out to once in this year too.
So tough for everybody. And we, real life comes first. We got to do that first. I miss that. And I'll look forward to hugging people someday.
Yeah, hugs. I'm not a super huggy person. I think I'm frightened of people when we finally are able to see each other in person. Why are you hugging me? What's going on here? Are you dying? What's up?
I'm a super huggy person. I see my friends and I hug them, and that's the thing I think I'm missing. I know is just being able to see them and that genuine excitement. Even though you saw the friends camping together last month, because I came from a kingdom where every event was camping events. So the last month you would have spent the entire weekend with them camping, but you hadn't seen them in a month. So you see them again, you get that genuine happiness and tackle hug that you get from some of your friends. I think that's the thing. And both your graces, you're going to be getting hugs next time once this plague ends.
Yep.
So. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe you'll get a crisp high five.
As long as you ask first.
Oh yeah.
That's the important thing. And don't pick me up. I'm pocket sized, and that's part of it. Is like a lot of times people want to like squeeze you and pick you up off the ground. Yeah. Hey guys.
Don't pick up girls, please. Don't pick them up.
Yeah. Ask first.
Don't pick them up.
And don't hug them from behind without them knowing.
Even if you're trying to get more socks.
No.
Not an excuse. So we're drawing to a close because we promised an hour, so everybody can get to the bathroom in a timely manner. But Bridget, is there anything we haven't covered that you would be excited to talk about before we turn off the live feed?
I just love the inter-kingdom communication.
Yes.
And sorry it took a pandemic to do it. But I love reaching out to people and knowing other people in other areas. I love seeing all of your faces, and now I know you, and we'll go to wars again and see each other, and that because we're all cool kids, and we'll help the newcomers be cool kids too. So we're all.
I'm thinking a lot about that. I'm like, I really need to start another interview series where I talk with people that are just like not consciouses and talk about what they're doing, because those are people. Those are most of my friends. I'm like. I have a lot of friends who wouldn't qualify for some of these peer only, review series. So I'm thinking about that, like what would be a fun way to do that, because the problem I have is names and faces don't always gel for me. So I don't do great with faces. When I meet somebody, I need to be reminded who they are probably every time I see them. And I'm really open about it now, but even in Maine, everybody knows who you are, and it feels very dehumanizing to have to say to somebody,
right,
I don't know who you are, but I think I know you.
Yes.
And it's a great shame that I'm trying to be better about. But this has definitely, I'm going to imprint on each one of you.
right. But it's okay to say, I know you. Please help me remember your name.
Remember,
Yes.
remember what we've shared. Because
remember what we've shared, because I
just have to figure out what file it's in. So
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, this has been terrific. I'm so grateful to Garan for connecting us.
Oh, she's a dream. Kaid won her. We are richer for her presence. I just love her dearly. Mr. G, she's mine.
Whatever.
Love her. Let's go her, haha.
I have to tell you, and she's probably watching, so hopefully this embarrasses her. I was made a Laurel in the West, and I felt very inadequate to the role. I was like, why am I being Laurel? This makes no sense. And then I thought, oh, Ron isn't a Laurel yet, and maybe I can help make sure that she becomes a Laurel if and over time, I was able to do that. And one of the things we did was on tier, the culture is privileges are offered typically as a surprise. They're called up in court, and there's a big deal made about the offer. And then the period, there's a vigil, and they sit vigil for usually an extended period during the reign. So, but we didn't have enough time to have an event occur where she would be before 12th night, which is where we thought would be most likely that she would be elevated. And so we had to manipulate circumstances and arrange for her to teach a class that the Queen was going to come to as a guest. And the offer was made at the class outside of an event. Think about that. The manipulation necessary to make all of that happen, the lies, the covert operations. But the thing was, when you have privilege and power, when you've been given a gift like that, you can lift up or push down, right? It really is. If you're not lifting people up, you might be pushing them down. You really have to take responsibility for that, right?
Exactly.
And everything I've heard you say speaks to your passion to lift.
Yep.
And that's no wonder she loves you, because So I really appreciate that a lot. And so right now, though, what we do when we close is in the tradition of the Great Gift Basket Exchange, we have put together a virtual gift basket for you. I'm sorry it won't be appearing on your doorstep, so you'll just have to accept that this is
no knocks at the door on a Sunday afternoon. That would be creepy.
That's right. And Joel, I don't often ask you, but if there's something special you want to put in this, please be sure to say so. But first, I'll give my standard quiz that I would normally ask, like your best friend or protege or head of retinue, to find out about ahead of time. Are you a darker milk chocolate?
Milk, the sweetness of milk.
Okay, milk chocolate. And are red or white wine or none?
Red, blood
red wine. Okay. And puppies or kittens?
I love both. Make me pick. I am currently furless, although I'm currently spinning some dog wool. Kittens.
Okay, that's important because you never know what shows up in these gift baskets. It's always pretty random, right? So what we've put together for you is a gift basket. It doesn't have a handle on it because those are the ones that are hardest to take home, right? Please, but don't give away baskets with handles on them. Really hard to
snap them off. I would snap them off.
That's right. It has some really good milk chocolate in it, and I'm going to say it also has some Kinder chocolate from Germany, which is what I grew up with, which is like listed as being health chocolate because it has extra milk in it. It's like the milkiest of the milk chocolate.
Wow.
Okay. There's a bottle of red wine, it's blood red, and it's not from California because we have a really good wine culture in Washington State, and I want to make sure it's something from one of our vineyards. And then you have been given, I'm going to say, the noisiest, most vocal kitten you've ever heard in your life to keep you company during a pandemic. There is a kitten in there, but it's a kitten that, you know, if you don't have a place for it, you can easily rehome it. It's and all it wants to do is just play with your scraps of yarn. Excellent. And then most importantly, it's a great big pumice stone and some non-greasy hand lotion so that you can spin without catching all of your fine yarn on your hands. Like that's the piece that's really
important. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that's what's in your gift basket.
Wow, I didn't expect.
The surprise gift to that one being a warrior queen is strapping tape and duct tape.
Oh, thank God.
So important.
I needed to strap my sword for the next time we fight, which may not be a while, but whatever. Awesome, thank you.
And in a pinch, you can use it to take kitten hair off of your clothes. But only from here up, because that's the only way that we're talking to you.
Right,
so.
of course.
Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad we got a chance to meet you. Joel, any parting words and also updates about next week?
So, Your Grace, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this video, both Graces. But Bridget, thank you so much for taking the time. This was fantastic. You know, I personally remember you from Gulf Wars. We met briefly, but I do remember it very clearly. So I look forward to the plague being over and having the chance to be able to see my friends again, giving you a hug, giving Dagmar a crisp high five, but being able to see everybody again. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking your time with us. Everybody that's watching, please join us next week. We're going to be interviewing Duchess Tiana of Artemisia, who is someone very near and dear to my heart because she is the queen that recognized me for the chivalry, and she is a very patient, beautiful, and wonderful queen that has just a ridiculous amount of fun on the throne. So it's going to be a great interview. It's going to be a great time. So that is it for us. And genuinely, thank you so much. Renew your memberships.
That's right. Thank you so much. We'll see you, Bridget. Take care of yourself.